Hi, I'm Victoria, a licensed esthetician and laser tech. I am an influencer, also known as Skin by Victoria on Instagram, and we own our spa here in Gilbert, Arizona. Welcome to your Besthetician. Okay, so today we're going to talk about work-life balance, which is definitely, I think, something that a lot of people struggle with. So we're here to just explain our story and hopefully help other people, gain some insights on how to balance life.
Yeah, for
work.
sure. Yeah, I think the first thing we want to talk about is kind of what our situation is, what we do, how we do it, some of the struggles that we have. And then, of course, we want to talk about tips that have really helped us a lot after we've jumped in and been trying to balance. And then, of course, tips for everybody else. So we want to talk about, of course, families, because we have a 6-year-old, but then also just marriages. And then, of course, you can apply those same principles to friendships, right? I think that's also important, which we're new to Arizona, so we don't have many friends out here. So I think the friendship balance is pretty easy for us so far. But in general, I think it's very, very important to also keep strong friendships, because you can't be all alone out here and trying to build a $1 million business by yourself, right? Or however many money
It's
dollar
so
business.
hard. I feel like we don't hang out with even the people that we have a few friends, and we don't really hang out with anyone.
We definitely need to do better, and hopefully in this next season, this next chapter of business, we will hopefully do better at that with some of these ideas that we're talking about now. So the first thing I want to talk about is kind of our situation and what we are currently at, what we do, and how we do it. As you guys know, Victoria has her own spa here in Arizona. We also have Victoria's influencer account, which is, of course, remote, right? It's an Instagram account, but I'd say it's a job because we get a lot of work from that, and it is something that we also have to balance on top of the busy schedule. Like there is some videos that you need to shoot currently. I think that's something that we want to play a little bit about as well. But yeah, so we have our 6-year-old. He goes to school every day. He's in kindergarten, which is awesome. He absolutely loves it, but it's also kind of nice for us. That is one thing that I'd say firstly helps us out a lot in the work-life balance, because when Victoria is not working, it gives us an opportunity to do some things together, like maybe go have lunch, or even if it's doing, grocery shopping or something for the house, which I won't go into too much there. I guess it's already spoiling some of the tips that we would give. So Victoria's schedule right now, it's pretty open, a little bit more open than we'd like. We're kind of in hustle mode right now. So we're kind of in the grind time, where Victoria is pretty much working, for the most part, Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday. And there can be sometimes we take a day off in the middle. If it's a slower day, we just tend to schedule around that.
Trying to figure out what the main hours are that people want building a business,
which is a fun topic as well. Now that you say that, I think that's kind of interesting, because I don't think every business or every esthetician needs to have the same exact hours. I think it depends on your clientele. So if your clientele tends to be more free in the evening, that's the type of people you've attracted, then maybe you're going to cut out those mornings, right? For us so far, it seems like the daytimes is when it works best for most of our clients. So as we figure that out, we're 5 months in, so we're still definitely playing with that. So in the meantime, Victoria's working, kind of sporadically throughout the days and throughout the week. So it's definitely something that definitely keeps us really, really busy. That's where the struggle can really come from with this trying to balance, is when your schedule is taking clients anytime. It doesn't give you kind of like that, besides Sundays, which is awesome for us right now. It keeps us real, real busy, right?
Yeah, but I think it is... at the same time, it is hard because, you are your own boss and you want to make your own schedule. And that's where that balance comes in, is you have to set those hours and, when you want to work. And I think that's the hardest part, is building a business and trying to figure out when people are your most, times. But
I think in the beginning, you want to work every hour.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
You want to you don't want to say no to any client.
Yeah,
right?
That's part of the building a business. So now that we're getting a little bit more established, I think it's just really important once you get to that point where you realize your more popular hours, and then at the same time looking into your own schedule and figuring out what you want, and just kind of finding a balance between the two.
Of course,
I think is really important.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's
why we don't work Sundays. I'm took that back.
Yeah, because in the beginning you were working some Sundays, and I think we were really, that's where the burnout, we talked about Instagram burnout, but life burnout, business burnout could be the same thing. And I think we were realizing that even a couple clients on a Sunday, the money seemed great, but that burnout was starting to get to her, and then just us, everybody as a family.
And having one day of the week, I think, is really important. And I mean, if you're working, I mean, it felt like, I mean, it was like literally 7 days a week that I was working, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Like your body just can't.
Yeah. And I think that's also something though, that everybody should take it, that there is a time, that there is a grind time. Yeah. Right. And I wouldn't take back those days that, that's kind of mean to say you were working 7 days a week. And I know you were, I don't make you work. But I think there is a time that it's grind time. And I think there's a season where you need to go, I'll work whenever I need to build this business. I need to scale. Oh, yeah. I want to bring on new equipment. I want to spend more money on marketing, whatever. I brought more products, whatever it may be. But as you move out of that season, then that's when, the balance can really, really come into play. Yeah. Because if we're talking about 3-4 months ago when we first started this business, as far as work-life balance, there was really no balance. The family, everything was kind of slipped in, and we're very transparent with our son, and we're very communicative with each other. And I think that's, moving into kind of maybe some solutions here is one of them is being transparent with your family, with your friends, with your spouse, and with your kids. We're fortunate that we both do work together, but it still takes a communication. Victoria has to get to a point where she might go, hey, Chris, I think I should slow down hours. Hey, Chris, I think I should take Sundays off. And we have to have an open communication about that, totally. And of course, I'm not just like, making her work. We're usually in there together, and I'm always, because fortunately we're in business together, but it does take that conversation. Yeah. And I think even with our son, we had a lot of, he's only 6 years old, so it seems like a silly conversation, but we try to be very, hey buddy, we're really sorry, but mama's working again today. We're trying to build this business out, and he's just, okay, can I have candy?
Yeah.
He's
of course, the sweetest. He really, and I think it's really cool for him to watch us build a business.
Yeah. And I think that's important, but going back to that, I think, transparency is one of the biggest things that I would say for everybody is be transparent with your friends and your family, and don't push people to the back and go, you don't understand. I'm building a business. Yeah. Talk to them about it, right? Help them understand. And then if they don't understand, then maybe it's a bad friend or maybe a family member that, shouldn't be in that inner circle. But if they don't know what you're doing or why you're doing it, it seems silly. If you're just ghosting people, your significant other, if it's your husband, your boyfriend or girlfriend, and you're just ghosting them, then they're going to go, what are you doing? And you're like, well, I'm working so hard, but you're not communicating, So I think that's a very important point to that, communicating with kids and your significant other. And then from there, like I said, as we've moved into a new season now where we can pick our schedule, and we're finding out these hot times, and we're scheduling our life around that. Some of the things that we do that are very little things that help a lot is, one, Victoria never schedules in the morning, so we can always take our son to school together, right? So it's a good family time where, maybe we're a little bit rushed because, Victoria might have to get ready herself, and then also getting, the little guy ready for school and lunches and all that stuff. But it's a time that on that drive to school, we can all talk. She can say goodbye to him every day. So it's just, it's a very small, for him, it's just whatever. He's just like, get me out of the car. I need to go to school. But it's a special time for all of us as a family to kind of bond and have the only thing to do right now is to take our son to school.
Yeah.
Right?
I think those moments don't have to be like always big moments. It can be as little as taking, our son to school and, picking him up and doing little things here and there. I think I'm so thankful that we have that. And it's something that like, I'll always look back on because it's something, that's our like way of having a little bit of balance in our life. So,
or normalcy.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
The only thing that feels normal is being able to like all go together.
And I feel like I still get to watch him grow up, so, I think, the biggest thing is, there is a time where you are going to have like grind mode. You're going to work 24/7. And that's really where we started. And then from there, I think the biggest thing you can do for yourself is figure out, like we said, those hot times. And then kind of just as you're going, just rebalance in those seasons is so important. And you learn with them and you grow with them, obviously. Yep. So I think it's really important to, switch up your gear and not just like, not work 24. You're going to get burnt out no matter what.
I think one of the big things as well. When Victoria talks about kind of that balance that we do with taking Jace to school, I think that the daily balance at home too, of finding those little windows in your life that you can kind of take a step away and enjoy some time together, or with your kids. I think for us personally, something like this podcast is a really good way for us. I know it feels like work as well. These conversations are pretty enjoyable for us, and it's kind of a new venture, so it's really exciting still. It's a good way for us to bond, right? It's something like new and exciting. It's something that we both have really been enjoying. So I think that's one of the ways that we it's unplugging, because it's kind of just a conversation that we get to have, because the minute this podcast is done, we might have a little bit of chit chat about what we thought about it, how it went, but then we're kind of both going to go our separate ways mentally as I get ready to edit the podcast. A lot of times Victoria will catch up on editing photos, work on Instagram stuff, kind of all the back end stuff starts to happen as well. But yeah, I think with that, I think also throughout the days, like I mentioned before, me and Victoria might have like a breakfast day. Usually it's because like we're both craving something, but we use it as kind of like our excuse is like, it's a date time, you know, okay, there's no clients right now. Jace is in school. Let's take it as a date. And those are those little windows that give us that kind of like that refresher to keep us moving forward. Without those, if we both went, no, it's grind time, you know, then we're going to miss out on those moments.
Yeah. I think even, you know, I'm just thinking about how it can be relatable to everybody, you know, taking a lunch date with your friend, or, you know, like with us, I mean, we run a business together. So finding that time, that dedicated time to, even if it's spontaneous, I think that's the kind of almost the best types of fun, you know?
Yeah. And as I'm thinking about it too, it's also maybe a time to not vent about work stuff.
Yes.
Right. Really just take a break. And I think for us, you know, we're dreamers a lot. So a lot of times it could be dreaming, and maybe we get caught sometimes and maybe over venting about, oh, we got to do this, or this needs to be done. But a lot of times those breaks those are dream times.
Yeah.
Those are time for us to talk about like, maybe like where we want to travel next year. Maybe you could talk about, you know, sometimes it's constructive of like, okay, what better ways can we parent? What better ways can we be better husband or wife? Usually those conversations aren't like, how can I be a better husband? But it's like, hey, you aren't doing very good job at this, and we can have an open conversation. We're not like those people who are like the perfect, you know, husband and wife, but we have those constructive conversations, which tend to be really, really healthy. So that's one thing I would highly recommend too, is find those little snippets. You know, I say for us, it could be during the day sometimes, because it could be a breakaway from our 6-year-old, which is nice because he demands a lot from both of us. He's at the age right now where he talks a lot. He asks a lot of questions. He always wants to be involved in things, which is a beautiful thing, but it doesn't give as much time for us to really have, especially kind of deeper conversations. If we're talking about dreams and goals, maybe issues that we're having, struggles in life. So that's a really good time. And then as far as family stuff goes, the same little snippets where if Victoria has a late night, and maybe, you know, we're pretty lenient on Jace's bedtime. We try to be pretty strict, but we also prioritize family time over a bedtime. And maybe that's maybe a controversial topic with people. And I know that for a lot of people, sometimes bedtime is couple time, which I think is great. But if Victoria works late, we don't have an issue staying up a little bit late to play a board game, to make sure that, especially her who's at work all day and I might be home with Jace, she can have some fun bonding time and not, it's time to brush your teeth. It's time to take a shower.
I feel like we're more of a spontaneous family in general, but I think it's really important once you kind of feel the need to have that, like, I feel like it's okay to not have like a dedicated time and a dedicated day, like of family time or whatever. I feel like it's really necessary to take those breaks when you feel like you need it, you know? I think that's something that we do a lot, is we're like, you know what, we've been working all day. Let's like give Jace or whoever our undivided attention and just, like you said, play a board game. So
and I think you know, we don't go out to eat too much too. You know, lately it's been a little bit bad, but in general we don't really go out to a lot of restaurants. But that is kind of has been a thing before for us too, where Victoria just feels like, man, I'm just tired, and I might feel just really, really drained. And I know it's a time where we try to find, you know, we're not just going to like Red Robin, but just try to find a cool restaurant for us to go and just spend some family time together and let Jace run around and just talk and just really be in the moment. as a family, and not so much as like, okay, we gotta go do this, or this needs to be on the list. Yeah. And then we wait till we get home and he's in the bed, and then we can stress about that. But we can enjoy that, a couple hours of just like the family being a family. So I think those are things that have helped us a lot. Like Victoria said, I know that like spontaneous thing might be kind of like a tough spot for a lot of people. We've met a lot of people who are really tight on those schedules, and I have no issue with it. And sometimes I wish that we did better when when Jace was growing up, to have those really strict like nap time schedules and bedtime schedules. But like Victoria mentioned, that spontaneity has really helped us out a lot to create these really cool family memories and bonding moments, and not feel so much pressure. Yeah. Where, okay, it's a Wednesday, but Victoria worked late, and she was working late the past couple days, and we know you know what, Jay's going to stay up a little bit late tonight. He'll be okay for school tomorrow. He might be a little grumpy by the time he gets home, but let's have some family time, right? Let's go on a late night walk.
Yeah. I think it's finding out whatever works for you, like whether you're a planner and you need things to be scheduled because, everybody obviously has different lives, but I think it's like one or the other. You're either one or the other. So I think it's like making that dedicated time whatever way that you want that to be.
Yeah, if you're a scheduler, then you need to schedule it in. You need to schedule some family time, some friend time, some husband and wife time. I guess that's kind of would be the concluding point is that if you're a scheduler, schedule it. And if you're spontaneous like we are, then find those windows in your life to make it work. Yeah. But, and to kind of conclude this whole thing is something that's just super, super important, is just being transparent and being in the moment with your friends and with your significant other and with your kids. I know, people might watch this and go, well, you're in a different situation. You work together. Yeah. And we do, and it's great. But then it also creates a thing where it can, like, work doesn't stop, right? Work can be till 11 o'clock at night. If she comes home from work, I help with Jace, and then I'm editing all night, and then I go, well, it's for the work. Yeah. Right.
I feel like we've always been that way though. I think that, even from a different perspective of me working, 9 to 5, we would always have like lunch together, or you would drop me off in the morning, or we would walk to work because it was so close. It's just finding those moments.
Yeah, you are right. Yeah, we've always done a pretty good, not to give ourselves a pat on the back. We've struggled with work-life balance before, but we try to find those windows to just really enjoy each other's time and have family time.
I'm just saying it's possible, and like don't get discouraged if you're like, oh well, you guys work together.
Yeah, for sure, because we've done both. Yeah. We've definitely been on both sides before. And I'd almost say it's harder now because when you run your own business, work doesn't stop. Yeah, because you want to grow and you want to take, well, at least for us, we want to take things to the moon. Where when we had a 9 to 5, when you worked, you got off work and work was done, right? If they gave you off Monday, Saturday, Sundays, you would be off, right? Where now it's like, okay, well, Saturday's off. That means we need to shoot all day. Yeah. That means we need to go do this. That means this needs to happen. So it's almost more. So it's harder to balance now than it was with a 9 to 5.
Totally.
But so I hope this advice and some transparency on our end was able to help you, kind of learn some new things, learn some tactics that we use. If there's any more questions, we could definitely go deeper on some of the things that we talked about here today. But if not, thank you for listening.
Yeah, no, definitely. I completely agree. Make sure you guys comment if you guys have any specific topics you'd like us to cover. It definitely helps the algorithm. So we appreciate your support and all of the love. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube channel, and also follow us on Instagram at Skin by Victoria with 2 I's and Skin by UAZ on Instagram.